Everett Fitzhugh here, wrapping up our end-of-season interview series with Cyclones head coach Matt Macdonald. And Coach, I just want to get your thoughts on this season. We've talked about it with a lot of other guys that we've had on this interview series, but not the ending that you wanted. But you look at where this team started from back in October all the way up and through December, January to where they finished. You can take a lot of positives from this season. From a coaching perspective, what are your thoughts on this year?
It's always frustrating when you don't make playoffs. You don't get into that postseason, but we made a huge push at the end. The last 30 games we went 18-9-2-1, and we made a big run there to get into that spot and push for that last playoff spot at the end of the year. But unfortunately missed out. We needed some help from some teams, and it's never a good feeling when you're in that position that you're looking around the league, watching the scoreboards, trying to hope that the right teams win or the right teams lose for us. And but from the start of the season, we had a bit of a rough start coming out of the gates. And the first probably 20-30 games weren't where we wanted to be. And then as the season went, we got stronger and we started to play a lot better as a team. And I think it was very evident down the run. And, we still had a great home record. We played very well in our building, but we needed to pick up the road games, and at the end we did, but we needed to be more consistent throughout. And I think that was the one thing we can look back at. When you're miss out by 3 points, it's only a game and a half. And I think anybody that watches closely with the Cyclones, you can pinpoint a lot of games that, looking back at, we wish we would have had. But, the guys still had the opportunity that if they wanted to roll over or stop playing, then they definitely could have. But we stuck to it, and we grinded out a lot of wins, and we definitely played great hockey down the stretch. We just needed a better start.
Now, it can be safe to assume that the turning point for this Cyclones team was that series in January out in Missouri. What was said or what was done? What do you feel were the reasons for that turning point from the first half of the year? You go to Missouri in January, probably the worst 3-game stretch of the year for the Cyclones, to performing well down that last 6-8 weeks of the season.
It was we just hit that fork in the road, I guess, for lack of better words. And, like I said, we could have went a different direction, but we decided to stay positive when we got upbeat, and we got to come back home. Then January there, we played 15 out of 16 games on the road, and down the stretch we were banged up and we we're hurt, and that's no excuse, but we weren't playing our best hockey by any means. And after that weekend in Missouri, we came back home and we regrouped, and we just brought a different little bit of life to the arena every day, and kind of, wiped away those first, 38, 40 games, whatever it may have been at that point. And we decided that, if we were going to make a push, we had to do it then. And, we did. We made a great push, but we didn't, we should have had a better start, like I said. And unfortunately, we missed out. But, that was the changing point. I think it was just the life inside the room, and guys started to buy into everything, and they were working hard and competing every day in practice, and it started to translate to games. And everybody stepped up at that point and came together, and we did as much as we could at those last 30 games of the year.
You mentioned the guys in the locker room. Not a whole lot of returning faces from last year's team. You only bring back Nick Hurd, Seth Ambrose, Andrew Yogan for a time, Christian Manella midway through the season, Jaden Rissling. So only a few returners from last season. So a lot of new guys in the room. How do you feel they gelled? And when you look at that team camaraderie inside the locker room, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think the guys gelled very well. We had a very close team, and I think coming out of the gates, maybe we weren't as close as we could have been for teams that have a lot of guys back. But all in all in the room there, everybody was working hard, and they definitely had their heads on straight, and they wanted to win this year, and they wanted to have a good season. And our leadership core did a great job down the stretch. There was a lot of guys with some experience that definitely helped make that push at the end. But the guys, I was really happy with the guys coming together in the room there and doing what they did at the end there. And throughout the year, we still had a winning record, and we still, like I said, did very well at times throughout the year where we can look back and be happy about. But and that's a test of the guys that stuck through it and grinded out a lot of games that were very close and very tough to win.
Now, obviously, the life of a pro hockey head coach is not an easy one, but this year you had the task of grooming a new assistant coach in Patrick Weller, and just touch on him, his first season as a full-time assistant coach. He had a little bit of experience in the last couple of years as a player assistant coach, but now in that first year as a full-time assistant coach. How do you feel he performed in that role?
I think Pat did a great job. He hardworking guy. He came to the rink every day with a great attitude, very positive, and was willing to learn and willing to work. So that was we had a great chemistry. I felt like with me and him, just on him working the defense, me working the forwards, and special teams, everything that goes through it, and reevaluating every game and everything that goes into it. It's a grind for coaches at this level. You got a lot of different hats you have to wear, and Pat did a great job adapting to that. And I think he's got the make of being a great coach moving further, and he's got a bright future in it. He's like I said, just a stand-up, hard-working guy, and he knows what he's doing. He's been around the game for a long time in pro. I think he played 13 years. He's won a bunch of championships. He was a great addition this year for me, and he helped out in a lot of different areas that I think, like I said, he's going to be able to move forward in this business and have a great career as a coach.
Last one here for you, the offseason. Obviously, it doesn't stop for you that since the whistle's gone and the final puck has been dropped. A lot of responsibilities for you in the offseason, from breaking down the schedule to looking at new players for next season. Just touch on that process. What are some of the things that the folks may not see, may not know about what goes into that offseason planning?
Well, right now it's we have to reevaluate how the year went, but also players, ourselves, as a staff sit down and we kind of look through a lot of different scenarios of what went right and what went wrong this year and what we need to change. You're always trying to evolve as a coach and always try to evolve the team. Unfortunately, at this level, there's not always a ton of guys returning, so we got to start the recruiting process, and that's just putting names together of guys that we're going to go after and guys that we're interested in, and who are coming off NHL deals, AHL deals, college kids coming out, junior kids. There's a lot of different players in the sport, so we have to start, looking at that, and then mixing in the travel and mixing in the apartments. There's a lot of different things that go into it, but unfortunately, we'd rather be playing right now than dealing with this stuff. But this gives us some time to, we got to sit back and we got to really look at ourselves and make sure that we know what we're doing moving forward, and have a good head on our shoulders, and definitely start that. I guess the recruiting process is what is next up on board, and just start ticking away at that.